What's up, Penn State fans? This is Joe Smeltzer of Nittany Sports Now, and this is a special interview segment of the Joe and the Fat Man podcast. We're getting close to signing day, less than 2 weeks out from the beginning of the 2026 early signing period, and it's became quite an interesting recruiting season for Penn State with the firing of James Franklin in the middle of October. That's changed a lot of things with the class of 2026. Some players have decommitted, other players have decommitted and already committed elsewhere, and there's some that are still committed to Penn State but are weighing their options. One guy who hasn't really wavered from his commitment through all this is one of Penn State's top commits and one of the top players in Pennsylvania from the 2026 class. He is the 240th ranked player nationally per 24/7 Sports. He's the number 27 edge prospect in the country and a top 10 player in Pennsylvania, ranking number 8. Jackson Ford, thank you for joining us. You were just back in Happy Valley for Saturday night's win over Nebraska. How did your latest visit go, and what takeaways did you have from that visit that maybe were different from other trips to Penn State that you've had?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joe, by the way. And
Oh, thank you.
this visit kind of just showed, like, reopened my eyes, just showed me, like, there's still life in Happy Valley, still life in the football program. And it was really, I really enjoyed it. They played really hard. They played tough. And they had a lot of energy. They were flying around. Offense looked fast. Defense looked sharp. And just getting to speak with the AD, my coaches, Coach Barnes, the head coach, Coach Terry, and just kind of like just reaffirming some things and just double checking things. I got my physical and stuff, so I'm ready to go, and I had a lot of fun this weekend for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned you talking with Pat Kraft, and that's something that was reported on 24/7 before. What was that conversation like, and how did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so it was just something I just wanted to do with my parents, just talk to him about, like, the coaching situation and the situation of the current staff that's there. So he was nice enough to give us some of his time, and we couldn't go into a lot of detail, but he did give us as much information as he could. Kind of let us know the situation with the head coach, like Search, Coach Terry, what they're going to do with him, and then what they're going to do with the rest of the coaching staff for those, like, who stayed or and still there. So it was a good conversation.
So, what were some things that he told you that you'd be willing to share here?
Yeah. So he just let me know he is searching and he's giving Coach Terry a shot. Was actually his interview was today. He told me, he said on Friday that he would be interviewing Coach Terry today, and he said he's looking for the right guy to not only put the team in the best spot, but everyone on the team in the best spot as far as, like, players and coaches alike. So
Yeah, were there any other like specific names that he brought up?
not really. It was just Coach Terry, just like saying that he will be getting his official interview on Monday.
Right. So the game happens. Obviously, it goes very well for Penn State. It's the best they've looked probably all season. And after the
Sure.
game, with the hire Terry Smith signs, Terry's name being chanted off the field. What was that moment like for you? Just kind of observing all that, because that's the happiest Happy Valley has been in a long time.
Right. I feel like it kind of showed the atmosphere in the locker room and in that team. It showed, like, the energy and, like, the kind of the passion they still have, even after the season not going exactly the way they wanted it to. It just shows that Coach Terry brought life back to them after being the team was kind of beat down, kicked to the curb, especially, like, going into the season with such high hopes and a lot of pressure to, like, be great. Being ranked number 2 preseason is, like, that's high expectations, and if you're anything less of excellent, it feels like you didn't complete what you were supposed to complete. But them being able to bounce back and then put up a great performance in the in-league game, it just kind of showed a different level of grit and a different level of energy and passion inside that locker room.
So you've known Terry for a while. As a PA guy, he's been the defensive recruiting coordinator. What is it about him that you think would make him a good head coach? And if he is promoted, how much easier would that make your decision, to stay with Penn State?
Mhm. I think he's qualified for the job just because of just because of the person he is, not even the coach. He's just a great person. Um, he's very personable. He understands like that. Yes, I play football, and yes, I'm a football player. But at the end of the day, I'm still 17. I'm still a kid, and I'm not, an adult. I'm not a genius. Like he still talks to me and tries to understand me like I'm a kid, and he's very open and like nice when talking to my family, and I've had friends too. He's very nice talking to my family and friends, and he's just a great guy, just a great person in general. But then also he is a good coach. He's been coaching at Penn State for a while, and before he coached there, he played as well. And just that long history of football in general, you play the game long enough, you start to know the ins and out of it. So I think he's very experienced. I don't think experience is a problem, and knowledge is definitely not a problem either. He's a very smart guy on and off the field. So I think he's just very suited for it on all levels of the job.
Now, you were close with James Franklin. He's at Virginia Tech now. Have you heard from Coach Franklin since he got the Virginia Tech job? And if so, what has that conversation been like?
Yeah, so he called me when the news came out and like was checking in, asking if we'd be interested, and that's pretty much about it. And then obviously, the people, the recruiting people that like transferred from Penn State to Virginia Tech have also been calling and texting. So that's about as much as it's been so far.
When he asked if you were interested, what did you tell him?
He said, don't give me an answer right now. I didn't. I said I'd have to see what my coach thinks and my parents think, because at the end of the day, it's like pretty important to me.
Yeah. Is that something you are considering?
I feel like it's something like you have to consider due to the situation, but it's not. I think in levels of priority, it's definitely Penn State then Virginia Tech. Trying to figure out what Penn State's next move is. That's why we spent the time to go up, a day before the game, get to talk to the AD and the coaches alike, and just trying to learn where the situation stands between for the whole Penn State organization as a whole.
So, Dion Barnes would be your position coach.
Hmm.
Coach Franklin's still sorting out his staff at Virginia Tech, and we don't know like what guys from Penn State he's going to take with him, who he's going to get to fill out any of that. There's a lot of uncertainty there. If he Coach Dion ends up going with Coach Franklin to Virginia Tech, how much would that kind of strengthen the case for you to end up going there?
Yeah, yeah. Coach Barnes is like obviously my guy. I have a lot of faith in him and what he can do for me. The his expertise at the position is definitely very wavering, and is one of the big reasons I came to Penn State and committed. So I feel like yeah, him leaving would definitely him leaving or him transferring to like Virginia Tech would would cause some thought in my mind about a decision. But he seems pretty confident. The AD says he'd like to keep him as much as he can. Obviously, if you get a new coach, the AD can't completely tell the coach to keep him, but he can definitely put him at the top of the list. So I don't think that would happen, but if it does, it would definitely be like some thought in my mind.
Yes, so Coach Franklin has taken some staffers with him to Virginia Tech, and I think all of them were in the recruiting department. So,
Mm.
how different was it going back to Penn State when several guys who you had gone to know through recruiting weren't there?
Yeah. Um, yeah, as far as the staff goes, it was a lot. There was some new faces for sure, but there was a lot of assistants that were there, and they obviously just got promoted. And honestly, it just kind of felt like every other visit. They have interns and people, students helping, so it wasn't the craziest thing.
Who are some of the people that have been elevated as a result?
Like the main one for like the recruiting is Gabby. She like helps all the people get your lanyards and stuff, and helps like set up all the events and stuff. That's like the main one. She's filling in for Carson.
Okay, so there's 10 players that are committed to Penn State right now. A few of them, as I said at the top, are undecided, still weighing their options. What is your communication now with the rest of the 2026 class, and how much are you kind of pushing them to like just kind of stick with Penn State?
Yeah, like the guys that I do know, obviously I'm telling them like makes sense. Like you're looking somewhere else, but I feel like Penn State is like they're bound to get a great coach, and then they're bound to bounce back. I feel like you can only you can only hold down like a good program like Penn State for so long. They're bound to bounce back. They're bound to prove everyone wrong. And I feel like just if you have that, you can see that as a recruit and have that faith. I feel like when you get here, it's gonna like elevate your mindset. You're gonna want to work 10 times harder than you already were gonna work just to prove someone wrong. It puts a chip on your shoulder, and in football, it's always good to have a chip on your shoulder. Helps motivate you, helps you play harder, like puts you in a grind mindset. So I just think it's a positive. You just stick with the program.
Now you're a prospect that could go pretty much anywhere, right? You had offers from Ohio State, had an offer from Michigan. Going back to when you got the news about Coach Franklin, how did you find out? And after you did find out and process everything, what was it like when guys even though you never like announced you were reopening your recruitment, but there's still a lot of schools that offered you. And so like, were there people like giving you calls that you hadn't been in contact with before, at least
Um,
recently before?
yeah. So I definitely I did get new calls and I got old calls. Kind of just like the same thing, like asking me where I was at, if I was reopening my commitment, and like stuff like that. Um, and it was kind of like saying like whether it was a school that I've known since the beginning of my recruitment process or a school that is just newly talking to me. It was kind of like the same talk, and yeah, like the same old.
Yeah, are there any schools in particular that have been recruiting you harder over the past month?
Um, I mean, not really. A lot of like when I committed, it obviously like died down. Like schools, like obviously the schools I had in my top four would still reach out, and then obviously when the whole thing happened, um, they continued to reach out again. Maybe a little more like contacting me, my parents, stuff like that, but nothing like over the top or one was harder than the other. It was just they just were.
So going back, what were those first few days like after you got the news about Coach Franklin? Well, first off, how did you find out and how did you take it when you found out? And then the first few days after, what kind of made you want to stay firm, with Penn State when not everybody did?
Yeah. So I think I found out it was Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday, and then I was heading home from church, and I think like I was getting texts from like news outlets that let me know like he got fired, and then like it was just a bunch of texts after that. But like I initially found out through like one of the reporters telling me, and then kind of when I found out, obviously it was during the season, and kind of my mindset the whole season was just like ended with a bang. It's my last high school year, senior year. I got a lot like I got the team counting on me, I got coaches counting on me, so I was just trying to stay where my feet were at. The decision was kind of down the road. Obviously, I wasn't like ignorant to it. I was still like thinking about it, obviously, but I wasn't stressing about it. I wasn't going to decommit and start taking visits in the middle of the season. I kind of just wanted to give and put my best foot forward to my whole team and kind of grind out the season with them. And then, yeah, like I said, just stay where my feet were at. And that's kind of where my mindset was when I initially, first couple of weeks of hearing the news. It was like, obviously the news is important, but I think my team's more important. So now that the season's over, obviously I'm thinking about it more, taking it into more account. And yeah, still committed because I believe in the program, believe in Penn State, believe in Coach Barnes. And that's really all there is to it.
So you mentioned earlier about you're still a kid, right? You're still 17. This is a lot for somebody your age to process. How do you think you've handled all of it overall, and how do you think this experience is going to help you grow in the future? Because there's always going to be adversity down the road too. So
Yeah, right. Well, I feel like all adversity is kind of just like a lesson. It's like just something you can grow off of and learn from. And I think the only reason I think I've handled it well, and the only reason I've done that is because of, like the people around me. I got a coach who's really like been in the college football scene for a really long time, and I have parents, my mom, my dad, who just really keep me grounded and keep me level-headed. They help me think stuff out, and they always give me their ear, like they always lend me their ear. So I never, even when I'm freaked out or maybe I might be anxious, I always have one of those three to help me out and calm me down and help me not make a rash decision. So I think that's why I've been able to handle it pretty well and not make a decision that I'm going to regret just because of the situation that's occurring right now.
How would you describe what you do well as a football player?
Um, well, I think I have a high motor. I think I'm aggressive, and I kind of just put it all together. Uh, my get off really helps a lot, and then so I think it's speed, uh, strength, like my aggression, and then my motor, and you put that all together, and I can cause havoc on a football field. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Are there any other defensive ends, whether it be at the college level or at the NFL level, that you kind of look to and try to like take some things from?
Yeah, especially during the off season, I've been looking at people like Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Miles Garrett. Nick Bosa, just he's kind of just like really simplified his craft and then just honed, like mastered it. He doesn't do too much. Like there's people with 6, 8 moves in their bag. Nick Bosa has 3, 4, goes to it, and he's just worked it to perfection. His get off is seamless every time, fastest on the field, and it's that way every week in and week out. Miles Garrett, obviously, just like a freak specimen. I think he's like 260, 270, and I think he's like the fastest. He might just be the fastest person on the field, which is like crazy to say. But just looking at how he uses like his hands and like he really gets on linemen. That's something I really liked. And then Max Crosby, just his get off and his technique, using every part of his body, his bend, just some stuff. Just those three are probably my favorite three to look at.
You said 6'8". I thought you might make a 6'7" reference there.
Yeah, I was trying not to.
Yeah, so in saying along the lines of defensive ends, Penn State has had pretty good ones over the years. Currently denied Dennis Sutton, Zariah Fisher, the veterans, Max Granville, Chaz Coleman, some younger players. Ivan Kamaji had a great game Saturday. Of the current team, are there guys that you've built relationships with? And even going back, the guys like Abdul Carter, did you ever get to talk to any of them too?
Yeah, so I got to talk to Abdul last year. I think it was like only once. It was after the whiteout game, but like I've talked to a lot of the DNs that are like there right now. Like a lot of the younger ones. Like I think the closest one that I've talked to is Makai Williams, just because he was my tour guide for my OV, and kind of just got to know him a little better. He's from Philly, so. But as far as like all the other guys, not really. Obviously I've talked to them here and there, but he's probably the closest one. Is what I'm trying to say.
All right. So, above all else, what are some things you're looking for in the next head coach of Penn State?
Yeah, someone that kind of understands like uh, he puts his players first, and puts his players in the best light he can. Um, just a coach that's like he's trying to elevate his players and like I said, just put them in the best position they could possibly be in, and as well as and he does the same for the coaches as well, and kind of just a person that kind of understands his players and is not just trying to, obviously you want to win football games, but I feel like, you got to care about your players as well. Just stuff like that. And they care about obviously the culture that's Penn State. Like you can't just get anybody and come coach Penn State because like there's a certain culture, there's a certain personality you got to have to coach in Happy Valley. And you got to, it's it's like it got to be a right fit. Like not anybody can just come and coach here.
So with this is being recorded, I think 10 days out from the early signing period. Is the plan still to sign in that period, or are you gonna wait till the later period, or what's your plan there?
No, yeah, it's still to sign December 3rd.
All right, good stuff. Well, Jackson Ford, thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, good stuff.